Hi there, everyone. So today we are going to talk about shelf life research. I'm going to explain results of shelf life research I made, and also I want to give you some, insights about how you can make it at your own production. So I think we all know that over time, roasted coffee is getting worse in terms of quality and taste and flavors. But I was curious to understand like how these changes affect particular taste characteristics like flavor, aftertaste, acidity, body, like not only like the taste in general. And of course, I was curious to know like how its aging process affect scores. Like for example, if roasted coffee goes from like 88 to 82, or maybe just from 88 to 85, because like this 3-point difference, it's kind of significant because like this system, the scoring system is supposed to determine the price. And of course, the price of the coffee, which can be scored 85, is pretty much different that the price of coffee that can be scored 82. So I made this research because, I was curious, I was interested to know about the, particular results. And because I also wanted to make an educational event, a collaboration, to gather a local community to share my results and share like give people opportunity to taste these different coffees. So let's go. Let's move forward to the next slide. Well, first thing to start, of course, to understand what's the purpose of research, like what's the purpose of shelf life research. Of course, it's not the must, it's not the necessary thing, but it might be very important in some certain cases. For example, if you are a roastery who sell coffee to retail, to some neighborhood groceries or premium groceries, if you're like specialty roastery and supply some groceries, some retail chains. It's also very important to do if you sell B2C, if you supply like final consumers, final customer, because they can drink your coffee, not like the coffee shop drink your coffee. Yes, like the coffee shop, they use your coffee, like they might use your coffee within a week, within a month. And the difference during this period, not that big, but our consumers, they don't drink that much, so they can use your coffee for more than 1 month, maybe 2 months, or maybe 3 months even. So, and if your coffee loses in its quality drastically during this period, like the person might give up buying coffee from you because it's not that good during this period of time than coffee from your competitor. So that's why I really recommend to do this research. Or if you're afraid of using coffee research, you can make this experiment, this practice at your production, to understand how your particular product changes over time. So what's the purpose? Like the purpose, we can make it for make it for a final product, roasted coffee, roasted beans, to see how quality is changing, and set expiry date, because expiry date for retail, it's a must. And as I said, for final consumers, it's kind of a good mark, good thing to know to understand how long your product will have its quality, will have all these characteristics you are promising to have. The other thing why we can use this research, why we can make this research, we can make it for a raw product, like for green coffee, to see how quality is changing again, but to set the price. Because, you know, for green coffee suppliers, we often store our coffee or green coffee beans like for a like long period of time. It can be 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, even more than 1 year. And of course, we have I guess each green coffee supplier have a QC system to check the quality all around the year and further, I don't know, each 3 months or each 6 months, to check, you know, how it goes, if coffee is losing significantly its quality or not, and set the price, because set the amount of discount for the roasteries, for our consumers, green company consumers, customers. Because again, same system, SCA system, Q system. These scores help us to set the price for our coffee. Here I can make an example, actually, because in 2022, Traboka made a research, made a shelf life research for their green coffee, Ethiopian green coffee, but they did it in connection with the package and with the storage conditions. So they took warehouses with a controlled condition and warehouse with just some conditions without any control, humidity and temperature. And they also took different kind of packaging, like Grain Pro, vacuum, and just jute bags. So it's very interesting, the research itself and the result. I really encourage you to read it. If you you can find it on the internet. If you can't find it, you can reach me out. I will love to share it with you. So yeah, it's like another example, and I think, you know, in green coffee sector, it's really important to have more this kind of research, because, you know, we are required to do huge discounts when coffee stay at our warehouse longer than even half a year, or 8 months, or 10 months. If it's more like a year, nobody wants to buy it because, oh, it's already old crop. But very often, trust me, very often, because of the quality of processing and logistics and packaging, coffee actually doesn't lose its quality that much to sell it as a commercial coffee. This is the truth. So I really think we green coffee companies, green coffee suppliers, we should make more this kind of research, or we should have at least one this kind of research to, you know, to have a factual basis for roasteries to, you know, to prove them that green coffee doesn't lose its quality that fast. So yeah, this is the main reason. The other third, last but not the least reason why we can make this shelf life research or exploration or experiment. So we just can accumulate knowledge about the product, because, you know, the more experiments, manipulations, exploration you do with your coffee, with your product, the more you know about your product. This is the truth. So if you think to make a research about shelf life research about your coffee, you need to consider the following steps. The first and the most important thing is design of the testing procedure, like how testing procedure will look like, how score sheets will look like, what is the tasting protocol itself, and of course, like how the process of panel selection and panel preparation will be done. The next thing is preparation of samples, also very important, because you need to select to understand like what size of a sample, what's the roasting profile for your sample, what's the packaging to use during this research, what's the coating on the package for the coffee to use, because of course we should make it blindly, otherwise we will be affected by our subjectivity, and results will be affected by our subjectivities, and we don't want it, because otherwise the results won't show the real facts, the reality. What's the tasting order, like in what order we are going to taste our coffee, the number of samples per session, because for example, making copying of 20 samples per one session doesn't really make sense, because it's like too many samples per one session. So you need to divide. It's better to divide at least for like 3 sessions to make it again less subjective, more objective. And of course, what's the information to be presented on the samples or about the samples, because sometimes, we have this bias, like if it's natural somebody likes washed coffee, somebody likes natural coffee, someone prefers from, I don't know, Yergachiv, the other from like this particular, I don't know, supplier. So if we represent some pieces of information on the samples, some of the panel participant, they can be affected by this information and they score higher or lower, and we don't want it. We want to research to be as much objective as possible. This is the hardest thing about research. That's why they cost that much. And the next thing is the venue. Yeah, the preparation of the venue. Like what equipment will we need? What accessories will we need? We need to ensure that the conditions proper for this particular tasting and testing. What is the location? If it's a convenient location, or maybe not very convenient. So like all that stuff as well. And the last thing, and again, I can repeat it here, like panel selection and preparation. So like what are the tests to use to select jury, and what is the teaching and collaboration procedures? Because, for example, if you develop your own score sheets and your own tasting protocol, of course, you will need to teach people how to use it. You will need to teach people how to use this protocol, how to use the score sheet, how to what score to put if it's about the score. So it's not that easy. Yeah, it's again a lot of time and effort. And when we are talking about research, we also need to consider not only like the physical steps, but the mental steps, I would say, because even before you started all these procedures and testing, like the first thing to do, it's set a hypothesis, like what results are we going to get? So you need to have this idea before you start a testing procedure. It's the must. Otherwise, we will start from nowhere and we will probably go to nowhere as well. So set a hypothesis. The next step, collect data. Third step, measure the data. For this purpose, we usually use statistics. Of course, we're talking about not like commercial researches with 12, 50, 100 people. We like, if it's just like, research made by one company for its their internal use, of course, we can, omit this step. We can do our research without involving statistics. The research that was made by Travoka, they, of course, they got a help from some university to measure the data with help of statistical methods. So it depends. So without statistics, it doesn't look like difficult as with use of statistics. The next step is like interpret the results. Like we need to, after we collect this data, we need to look at them again and just, okay, these numbers, these comments means this. So we need to do proper interpretation. And the last and the most important thing is to make a decision. This is why we do like all this stuff, like research, like the last thing, like make a decision. In this case, when we're talking about shelf life research, this decision means like, okay, what's the expiry date should be at our package? But maybe there will be done some other kind of decision. For example, we should change our roasting profile. Might be as well. Maybe some other things, we should change a packaging or something. But the first thing is it's at least setting expiry date for your product. So this is it. This is a kind of, general idea about how to make shelf life, and actually any kind of research. This is like these steps, and all these steps, it's about the research in general, not only about shelf life. But I understand that, it may seem very difficult, and at this stage you may see, oh no, you may say like, no, we don't need it. We're not going to try to do this. It's too difficult. It's too complex for us. But look, no, it's not. And to to persuade you that it's not so difficult, let me, give my own example, because I did it myself. I did it alone, but with the help of the people. Of course, who helped me prepare to roast samples and to do the tasting. But in general, it's not that difficult. So like, what about my research, my small experiment? So I took 3 types of beans. I took 3 processing of Ethiopian beans: washed, natural, and anaerobic natural. Because I was also curious to know if coffee processed differently, does it affect the aging as well? It was like very interesting. Samples were roasted with like 3-4 week step during like the period of 6 months, from September 2023 to February 2024. So we were using the same roast profile per coffee. So same profile for washed, same profile for natural, same profile for anaerobic natural coffee. You can see it, the next slide. Here we are. Thanks, my friend and colleague, Marina Itsura, for roasting the samples for me on Ikaba roaster. And for coding, traditionally, I was using letter and 3-digit number coding to cup samples blindly. And I asked another person to, mix them properly for me. I invited Q Arabica graders to participate in testing procedure. Unfortunately, not many agreed to participate. And I understand, of course, it's time. So in the end, I considered only my own results as a certified q-Arabic grader. So I had a research with only one person in a panel. So it's like super, super subjective. But yeah, but what to do? If I could pay them, maybe there would be more response. And I was using traditional CA, the old one and the new one, or Q score sheet, meeting uniformity scores, because like for this kind of evaluation, we don't need uniformity. What else to add? So for each processing, I had 6 samples. So I did evaluation for 3 sessions. Yes, I had 1 session per each processing, like for washed coffee, 6 samples blindly, for natural blindly, 6 samples, and for anaerobic natural as well. Same thing, same idea. And the other important thing here to note that, you know, I provided to Marina like around 800 grams of green coffee when like fresh crop arrived, and she roasted it in a step of like 3-4 weeks. And in this case, you know, I took as a constanta, took as a, you know, as a fact that green coffee won't change in terms of taste and in terms of quality that much during this 6 months. What does it mean? I mean, like, aging process of green coffee won't affect of aging process of roasted coffee. And of course, if you are a coffee roastery, you should do it differently. Definitely, you should do it differently. For example, when you got your coffee, your like lot bean, and you did all necessary job to develop roasting profile, production roasting profile, to supply your like coffee shops or your customers. At this point, you need to do this shelf life thing, research. Yes, you need to roast your coffee with your roasting machine and pack your coffee in your packages, the packages which will be delivered to your customers. And then you just, you know, have as many packages, as many testing procedure you are going to have, you're like going to conduct. And here you can do the following thing. For example, like, you roasted coffee, you packed it, maybe not immediately, but like in some number of hours you packed. And then, for example, you taste it in like 3 days after roasting date. Then in a week after roasting date. Then in 2 weeks after roasting date. Then in a month after roasting date. And then you can like make this step bigger and taste, for example, in a month, in a 2 months, or no, you can make a smaller step and do it within each 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks, it's kind of fair. It kind of makes sense more than 1 month or 2 weeks. And then you can make it for the next 6 months, yeah, or year. I don't know if it makes sense for you, but half a year indeed is very good period of time. So, and you just, add in your calendar where you need to do this cupping, and everybody knows when you need to do this cupping. So when this date happens, you just take this package and cup it with your team. You can use as well like QSCA protocol, or maybe you can use your internal protocol for cupping. But I think if you communicate with your customers, coffee shops and consumers using SCA score like 80 something, I think it's like makes sense to take this particular protocol. So you take this protocol, you take your team members who are it's better to bring at least 3 person. I mean, of course, it can be done by the most experienced, most professional taster in your team, but 1 person, trust me, it's always subjective. No matter how experienced, knowledgeable you are, how many years you work in industry, it's always subjective. So please try to engage more people. And of course, when like it's 12, it's kind of it becomes difficult in terms of all this procedure steps and routine. So 3 to 6, much more convenient, not that complex, and pretty much objective. So yeah, and you cup all the coffee, you collect the data. You can just make some Excel table sheet to collect all this information about comments and scores. And then, of course, like you will see the results. You will see them, how how taste of your coffee changing over time. And trust me, these results can surprise you. But of course, you should have an idea. For example, before you start all that stuff, you like, okay, this coffee is going to be, it's going to meet our quality standard during like the next 3 months. And then we'll see, you will compare the factual results with your hypothesis, and you will see what to do next. So and of course, we're talking about filter coffee. If we want to do this kind of research for espresso, we need to do something with the tasting procedure, because the CA protocol doesn't suit for ability in espresso. So we can inherit WBC protocol, but shortened and adapted. Or maybe we can use another kind of protocol you can develop for this research. For example, if you have some particular QC procedure for your espresso, you can use it. I don't know, because each company might use different QC protocols for espresso. And for example, if you are not the roastery, if you are a green coffee supply company, then the procedure will be like different, closer to the one I was making, with the green coffee, roasted during like half a year, or even 2 years. 2 years, it's kind of very good timeline for shelf life of green coffee, but it's a huge period of time as well. And of course, you need to roast, green coffee, because we need to check the quality of green coffee, not the roasted coffee. So you see, like, I mean, depending on the product you sell and the product you want, for what you want to set like expiry date, we can use different test designs, different score sheets, different protocols. So just think it's it depends on your like business. It depends on your business, like what task you need to, for what task you need to find a solution right now. And then you will see what particular testing and research to do for your product. Like this is how it works. This is how it starts. We always start from the like business task, and then we can use sensory science to find a solution, make a right decision. Like sensory science here for us is kind of a tool for the business. This is how I think we should consider. So I guess you want to see results. I wish. No, first start with my hypothesis. Of course I had it. So 5 points about how taste of my samples are going to change. So first thing, of course, and this is so obvious, coffee is losing its aroma and flavor intensity, and of course, complexity. The second thing, acidity. I thought that acidity is becoming less bright. Was my second point. Not intense. It's not about intensity. It's about being vivid, being lively. So coffee is really losing its characteristic over time. The next thing is balance. So I had idea that balance is shifting to like bitter side gaining rents and character. The next thing is like coffee is losing its clarity. So it's gaining a kind of stale flavor, like because coffee contains a lot of oils, and like if you use oils for your food, that when we store it for like long period of time, like oils can become rancid, with stale flavor, not very pleasant. And the last thing, because I was using samples of different processing, of course, like I was like, okay, washed and natural and anaerobic coffee, they are losing their quality in different ways, for sure. So, and then I made my research, and then I got the results. Yeah, but the thing is, of course, like when we do it first time, we have mistakes, and I did. And it's good that I had this mistake than you, so you can learn from my mistakes. And what was the mistake? I'm going to explain. So here, the table sheet was like it was a date, it was a code, and it was a score. So what's weird we can see about the score? So 8 Feb, it's like the freshest sample. It's supposed to be the best one. But as we can see, the best sample was from January 5th. And then also we can see that, okay, December 26th is scored less than December 1st. And it's also like not supposed to be like this, because what we expect to see that, the fresher sample, the higher score. If sample less fresher, so the score goes down, the score decreasing. But it's not like this. Though the difference in 1 point or half a point, not that high. I mean, I think it's kind of okay. But in this case, I think the problem was about the package, maybe because all the samples were packed in different kind of packages. Some of them were in transparent package, the other like craft paper like package. So it might affect the result. and why the freshest sample didn't get that much scores than like the second place fresh sample. Well, I capped it next day after roasting, like the last date of roasting. Next day I capped, and I thought, well, it tasted like a bit roasty, you know, a lot of like roasted nuts, notes, some chocolates, not that floral and fruity as a sample from January. That's why I thought, oh, it must be because of the degazation period. So for sample roasters, you usually don't really need a degazation period, but everything may happen. Maybe for this particular coffee, we needed this degazation period. But when we cup this coffee for educational purposes, when I gather a group of people who are curious to participate in this calibration session, the results were the same. So then I understood that it's not about the degazation. It's maybe, though we were using the same roasting profile, it roasted differently, and it always can happen when we do different roasts during the research. So this is how like roasting affected the results and the research. And yeah, so this is the results. The interpretation we will follow up later in next slides after we see the results for natural and anaerobic natural coffee. So this is natural. This is a failure, guys. This is a failure. And the thing I didn't take into consideration is the uniformity of naturally processed and anaerobic naturally processed coffee, because it's not that uniform as washed coffee. This is like a fact. And I needed to cup at least 3 cups of each sample, and I just cupped 1 sample. That's why like the most freshest coffee got only 82.5, because there was some quaker inside, and it was not about coffee, it was about the fact I have a kind of taint in my cup. That's why it's only like 82.5. And like further scores like 84.5, 83.75, 85.20. So the highest score was for the sample from December 1st, like in our freshest rankings, just on the 4th place. I think it's because of the uniformity, because depending on which particular beans were grinded in your cup, the taste could vary just because of the uniformity. So this selection is showing like the uniformity of the sample, but not the aging process. It's kind of not really shelf life research in the end. But is what it is. It is what it is. And I still have some interpretation for this natural coffee further. And so anaerobic natural, a little bit better, but still, I mean, as you can see, like only the second sample from January 5th, like not in a row. But for the rest samples, they're quite representative. Like the most fresh, the freshest one, 86.25, then 85.25, then 85, 84.75, 84. Like, yeah, it's like we can see that coffee losing its quality, and it's we can see it in scores. So only this 83.5 not in the line with the other scores because of the uniformity. I think it's just some beans that affected the cup quality for this particular sample. And unfortunately, like I was using sample roaster 100 sample roaster, so and I need to keep some, beans for the calibration. That's why I couldn't use that much coffee for like my results. Yep. So this is a comparison. This is a comparison of these three charts. And let's talk about the interpretation of the results for all these coffees, like the most interesting part, of course. So to be honest, I can say that, all the points of my hypothesis was proved. And for example, like for washed coffee is losing in aroma and flavor intensity and complexity, and losing dramatically, like from like medium to high to medium to low. And it's reflected in the scores. The second thing, acidity. So acidity is also losing its intensity and brightness and complexity as well. Like, for example, it's like when it's fresh, you can perceive like malic and citric acidity in washed Ethiopian coffee, like very bright and delicate at the same time. But over time, you mostly can feel like only citric acidity. Not that complex, not that intense, not that bright. Stale flavor is obvious starting from the third month. So it's kind of like first and second month, it's pretty much fresh, but then it just whoop, and just losing the quality. Like from the third month, we can feel this stale flavor. But the thing is, with comparison with natural and anaerobic natural coffee, like the cups they don't perceive as like unpleasant. They just like it's just a coffee, like coffee flavor, like just nothing interesting. But I wouldn't say there's like some defect or something. So aged cups aren't perceived as unpleasant. They just have a like coffee flavor. They are still sweet with nice body and texture. This is the results for washed coffee. Natural coffee, a little bit different. And I would say that results for natural and anaerobic natural, pretty much the same. Well, first thing, my results, my bad, but I shouldn't, tell about it, not about it. Like inconsistency, and uniformity. Like uniformity is an issue for natural and anaerobic coffee from the shelf life data collecting perspective. Always try several cups. Like natural coffee, next one. Natural coffee didn't lose much in aroma and flavor intensity. So this is like the big difference between washed and natural coffee. So it went from like medium to high to just medium. And in terms of intensity, but after 4 months, it decreases in quality tremendously. Like cup became bitter sour with low sweetness and pronounced stale flavor, like really, really, really unpleasant. And I can see similar results for anaerobic natural coffee. Let's return to the slide with the scores for natural coffee. So yeah, like November 6th and like October 9th, especially, like it's 3.5 points. It's a huge difference. It's like it's different grades within specialty coffee grades, So like here, the taste was like really, really, really unpleasant. What else? acidity is losing complexity over time, but aging process doesn't affect body much, though increasing some dry sensation, especially in aftertaste. So, like, this is the truth. I mean, for body and texture, aging process doesn't affect that much. It might become maybe not that, um, like round, smooth, and thick, but the difference really, really, really small. Like not maybe all sensory professional can perceive, and definitely consumers won't perceive this difference. Anaerobic coffee. So aroma intensity doesn't change much and stays in medium to high range. But interesting thing I noticed that like this flavor goes from fruity berry character to like sweet pipe tobacco, whiskey, rum, cognac character, some like nice warming character, alcohol, spirit alcohol character, like chocolate and spices like stain the cup. So for example, for fresh cup of anaerobic coffee, we had like some stone fruits, berry fruits, maybe tropical fruits, and also chocolate and spices. And then it's changing over time for like still pleasant, like sweet pipe tobacco, some whiskey, black rum, cognac, and chocolate and spicy, just stay there. It's quite interesting as well. So I wouldn't say it's like losing in complexity. We can consider like half point, 1 point from quality perspective, but not that much. Second thing, you can feel this stay flavor from the second month, but its increase, like the increase of this stale flavor or decrease of scores going gradually, and you saw it in the results, gradually and very slow. I mean, and again, I can mention same things, like maybe not for all sensory trained professional, it can be clearly perceived, and definitely consumers won't perceive this changing that much. But it was there. However, I think was this quality of the aroma and flavor, because anaerobic coffee usually more intense in this part, like flavors, like a lot of flavors, more complexity, like spices, chocolates. Of course, they were prevailing. They were like overwhelming in comparison with that small stale flavor that's increasing over time. What about acidity? So acidity is becoming less fruity, fermented, which personally mean, and here we have some kind of subjectivity, which personally me, I find it positive, because cup is perceived as sweeter and less funky, and I don't really like funky coffee. This is why we had only 2 Q grader, only 1 Q grader, like why I have results only for 1 Q grader and not for 2 Q graders, because I have another person, Q Arabica grader, who joined my tasting, my research, but Mauricio and a person from Colombia, and we cupped washed, and we had very similar results. We cupped neutral, and well, we had similar results, but when we started to cup anaerobic natural, he was like, no, I give up. Because like, this is too funky, I cannot drink this kind of coffee. And I can relate, because I would never choose this kind of anaerobic coffee for my daily usage, but as a sensory expert, I drink different kinds of coffee, and I can appreciate and evaluate different kinds of coffee. So I just did my job without considering my personal preferences. But I have results only for one person. And the last thing here, like all roasts are more or less pleasant, except the last one, which became sour at the finish with pronounced flavor and less smooth texture. So, and this is like very similar results for natural and anaerobic natural. So we can see that, they're like losing their quality slowly over time, like during this 4-5 months. But then just, and oh no, I cannot drink this. This is terrible. And this is what you don't want to happen in your business. I mean, like you don't want people to get coffee or to drink coffee like this sour, bitter, stale, unpleasant. Like that's why we need proper expiry date on your package if you sell your coffee to some retail branches or to the final consumer. So they should know that. And if we compare it with washed coffee, like the situation is different. Like the coffee loses in its quality drastically starting from the 3rd month, but it's not that bad, as a natural and an aerobic natural coffee after 5 months. Like if you will serve me 6-month coffee of washed natural and aerobic natural, I will probably choose washed because it's just nice cup of coffee. Well, maybe not nice, but for example, if you're somewhere in the mountains without coffee for the last 3 days, you will definitely drink and enjoy. So before we will speak about our final decisions, let's return to our hypothesis. So here we are. So I can say that we proved our hypothesis about losing aroma and flavor, intensity, and complexity in different ways for washed natural and aerobic natural coffee. Acidity is changing, true, becoming less bright. Balance shifting to bitter side, gaining rancid character, depends on the months for each particular coffee, as we can see. Coffee is losing clarity, gaining stale flavor, yes, and definitely yes, washed and natural and anaerobic natural coffee losing their quality in different ways. So good, not bad for the first time. But of course, next time we should, consider these things and make it better. Like, what can we improve in the research? Like, of course, we can just roast more coffee and consider uniformity, like really roast more coffee per batch. Yeah, I mean, like not 100 grams, but I don't know, at least 250, and cup more cups. Pay attention to packaging. Maybe some things in testing design can be improved as well. So, and of course, if we have time and we can involve more sensory experts, we can develop a better scoring protocol and score sheets, and of course engage a panel with proper calibration, so engage more people to have more objective results. Definitely for this kind of research, if anyone wants to do some kind of another stuff, maybe if someone wants to do this kind of research for comparing type of packaging or choosing another origin or another, I don't know, varieties, another processings, not only washed natural, anaerobic natural, but some other stuff. So many right now, So let me know. We can do it together, because yeah, doing it by my side, it's it's not that easy. Need more motivation. So what's the decision for this particular research? Well, after I cup it, interpret the results for washed coffee. First thing, consider the degazation period for washed coffee. As it turned out, it wasn't about the degazation period, but as if you're like roastery, it might be, because for production roasters, the roasting processes goes a little bit different way. And of course, like expiry dates, like 1 month expiration period after degazation, not roasting for washed coffee, but okay, it might be after a period of roasting, and up to 4 months, preferably 3 expiration period for natural and anaerobic natural coffee. So voila, we've done our shelf life research. Not that difficult, right? If after going with me through this. So I really, really encourage to do, this kind of things at your production. It's actually, if it's just a part of your operation, if your staff knows what to do, how to do, it doesn't take much time, really. And it really gives you, a lot of useful information about your product, and it helps you to improve the product for your customers, to add a value to your products for your customers. You even can, use it in your marketing. So any this kind of stuff. So I really, really encourage you to do this kind of things. I hope it was useful, and subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to do more videos, more useful videos for coffee professionals soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.